beware. You're in for a scare.
A long time ago, in an episode of the Twilight Zone, we were taught to be afraid of being sent to the cornfield. In this episode of Goosebumps, we might just find out why. Jodie and Mark are visiting their grandparents on their farm for the summer. Though already something strange seems to be afoot, as Stanley, their farmhand, makes reference to the Scarecrows possibly attacking them. And it seems even more possible as that night their grandmother questions her husband if they have locked the door and bolted the windows, as one of their scarecrows has gone missing from its stand. In the morning, the whole family sits down for breakfast and is one upbeat jingle away from being an advert for coffee or cereal. But something seems wrong again, as Stanley seems to be controlling the conversation, as their grandma makes up an excuse for why she hasn't made her normal breakfast of pancakes. Playing outside, Jodie ends up going into the cornfield to retrieve a lost ball, with Mark following behind her, only for the pair to be confronted by Stanley, who tells them that he brought the Scarecrows to life. Mark and Jodie begin to catch on to something not being right in the house, even more so as during the night Mark sees a Scarecrow moving about in the stand. Jodie ends up walking through the cornfield, following strange sights and sounds, as she finds two Scarecrow outfits seemingly broken apart inside a barn, where Stanley's son, Styx, happens to be as well. And perhaps that's all these monsters really are, a man and his son preying on the fears of a sweet elderly couple in an almost reminiscent way to Scooby-Doo, threatening them with violence. Or maybe the Scarecrows really are alive and are waiting to do untold acts of violence. But if so, who and what sort of dark forces are at work upon the farm? Well, you'll just have to watch to find out. Scarecrow's Walk at Midnight is, like many others, a good example of Goosebumps storytelling. A focus similar to Terra on the more monstrous side of human nature. It comes off as a more toned-down for kids version of the It's a Good Life episode of the Twilight Zone, where feelings of entitlement run rampant at the cost of others' pain and misery. While the acting from the kids ranges from weak to okay, the adults are in a different league, especially Bob Clout and Louise Nichols, the grandparents. The change of expression when dealing with Stanley gives a true impression of fear and a deep regret for unfortunately bringing their grandkids into such a dangerous situation. Though while the plot is good, some of the execution isn't perfect, as it is way too obvious what is going on, even from the beginning. The focus should have been less on Stanley and more on the change in the grandparents, building up to it as a reveal, letting the audience be as worried and frightened as the kids are, and giving them only the same knowledge that they have. Especially with them showing the Scarecrows moving early on, as a person's own imagination can often be far scarier than anything else. But now we must move on once again to our next episode, which has something that's truly been missing in this series. Blood. Lots and lots of blood.